Wonderful day. I'm joined this afternoon by my colleague, Mr. Tom Easterbrook. Hello, Tom.
Hi everyone, it's good to be here.
Tom is clerk to the governors here at the Prince of Wales School, and he's going to be leading just part of our agenda later on, and we'll talk through. So the first thing I wanted to do really is welcome everyone back to the start of the new academic year. It's wonderful to be back. It seems like it's the second time we've come back really after the period of lockdown and then of course the summer holidays. And as I just said, everyone's made a really positive start to the year. And this afternoon I just wanted to talk through with you some of the things that we've been working on with the staff team here, and hopefully open the floor up to any questions you may have about the year ahead, and answer anything which may be on your mind. The point of the parent forums is to provide access to you guys as a group, to members of the senior leadership team, and it's always very much a two-way dialogue. So although I'm speaking at the moment, you're free to turn your microphones on and ask any questions. And I would say I'm recording this session, so if you prefer not to be seen, you're more than welcome to turn your webcam off. That's not a problem. It's completely up to you guys, okay? I'm hoping to share this later on. So welcome back. It's great to see you, and let's take you through some of the things that we've been focusing on. When we came back on Tuesday after the summer holiday break, I used this quote with our staff to really highlight the situation that we've been through. And that's that nothing's different, but everything has changed. And it very much feels like that. I don't know about you, but throughout the summer holidays, I've been occasionally venturing out, maybe into shops, and I had one particular experience when I went to shoe shopping for my daughter in Clark's, and it was like nothing I'd been through before. It was like a military operation to behind screens and hand sanitizer and queues everywhere, but we managed to walk out with the shoes in the end. And you know, it's very much a case that our world has changed in light of COVID, but some things aren't different. And we see that as school, really. And I certainly see that when I walk around today and I hear children learning, and I hear children having fun with their friends and playing on the playground. Sometimes you can be forgiven for thinking that nothing's different, yet in the world everything has changed. And I used this analogy with my staff on Tuesday when I was talking about this. I actually went to visit the pantomime down in Weymouth throughout the summer holidays, and when I was sat there with my family, I very much enjoyed the slapstick humour and the cheesy jokes that were on stage. Seeing the pantomime dame and really getting into the Pirates of the Pavilion performance. But of course, this was in the context where everything had changed, and we weren't sat inside the Weymouth Pavilion enjoying the pantomime. We were sat on fold-up chairs, very similar to what we have at school. We actually sat on a gravel a parade ground, of course, at the No Fort in Weymouth, which in itself is quite bizarre. Lots of things have changed because lots of things had taken place, which meant that a performance in the pavilion was not possible. But the cast got together and did something different. And of course, this was with 9 cruise ships in the bay around us, and it made me think of that quote: how nothing's different, but everything has changed. And like I said, that's what it's like for us as a school. Nothing's different, but everything has changed. For us, the goals in which we seek to achieve as a school have not changed. We still believe in hard work, the commitment of coming together and pushing together to really focus on raising and accelerating progress, improving the quality of teaching and learning, improving the conditions for learning, and developing the school as a professional learning community. And we talk about those goals in the meetings that we have and the training that we have, and we're constantly seeking to be better and stronger as a group to achieve those goals. And despite COVID, those goals have not changed. We are here to deliver that accelerated progress for your young people and ensure that we do the very, very best to improve each and everything that we do on a daily basis. Our staff have a set of requirements that we work to in order to achieve those things, and we're very public about those, about how we work as an institution. We make sure that we're ferociously loyal about the Prince of Wales. We do things fantastically well, and most importantly of all, we trust each other in our approach to learning. And never has that been more the case than what's happened in the past 6 months in the staff team and how they responded to the challenges of COVID. They've had to work fantastically well and trust each other in their approach. And I hope as parents you're able to see what that looked like in action and in purpose and in how we approach things. I just wanted to start this parent forum by sharing these things because I wanted to be transparent about what I'd shared with my staff. I also sent it home in a letter last night to highlight what we were doing. I also used this video with the staff, which I'm hoping to be able to show to you now, if I can just put this up.
Stop. Wait. Who says we have to go back to normal? Back to anything? What if the new normal ain't the normal we knew? And we can't just do what we'd formerly do? What if the biggest change is you and me? What if we choose to be open and say, I will never call my job unimportant again. I'll never say the teacher's holidays are too long. Or that school is dry and I can't wait to move on. My ears are not my earphones.
What if I listen?
What if I'm missing how bright your eyes glisten? What if I just smile a bit, travel less and love every mile of it? What if I believe in the change my cooking, my music can do? Hey, what if I don't dance, but just for you, I might give in to the rhythm soon. I might give in to the rhythm soon. What if I refuse to be a stranger in my own living room? And I'll learn my lesson from a bad memory. And I'll keep social distance from bad energy. And I'll prove that funny beats sexy any day. But I'm still cute anyway. What if my dreams never take the back seat again? What if I'm there whenever you need a friend? What if I celebrate my skin, my body, my hair every day, even Mondays? And I stand by every word I say. I'll make my vote count, make my voice heard today.
You know what?
I will never
say the city has too many tourists again.
I'll lead like a woman. I'll have a family of dozens. I'll give my little nephews and nieces some cousins. I'll stay right beside you. I'll say yes, 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 I do. See, I'll never forget how much stronger we are together. I'll carry that in my heart forever. We'll weather the storm. So I'll be open like never before.
And that's just a video we used, and I used this message afterwards. It's what everything that's happened. It's given us an opportunity to start over, to be more humble, to be more mindful, happier, braver, and better than we've ever been as an institution. And the Prince of Wales School sees that the glass isn't half empty, but it's half full, and we can all make a difference when we are stronger than ever before. And that's going to be a key theme for our work this year. It's going to be building up that confidence in children. You know, we've been through a really tough time as a nation, as a community, and it's our opportunity to stop and reflect and come back stronger than ever before. And that's why you'll see this branding and this communication around in the letters that we send home. And that's the story behind it, really, because we see everything that we've been through as an opportunity to come together stronger. And we are stronger than ever before, with clear plans for how we're going to cope with the challenge of COVID-19. We're very much aware that we're not living post-COVID, we're living with COVID, and that we have to make changes and adaptations to ensure that we create the safest possible environment for your young people. And in broad terms, we have the same principles as we had in June and July of 2020. We have the hand sanitizer stations, we have the one-way systems, we have the staggered drop-off times, although slightly changed now. We have the separation between the different bubbles and kingdoms, and we continue to have the no mixing between kingdoms and bubbles. The big change is that we've moved from groups of 15 to whole year groups, so groups of 30 or 32. And that's based upon the latest government guidance. Assemblies are continuing to happen virtually until further notice, so we've started off those this week and we'll be refining those. We weren't 100% happy with how singing assembly went yesterday, so we've already met together and reflected on that, and we're going to do it much better next week. So, we're always learning and we're always seeking to adapt and do things better. Break times and lunchtime and toilets will all be in designated zones. And the library will be open to pupils, but not parents and parents with restrictions. And I must say, it was an absolute joy seeing Year 4 in the library for the first time yesterday. There was palpable pleasure in being able to check out a book again. and we've worked really hard to make sure that we've got appropriate gaps in between when the students use the spaces, and making sure that children only touch books that they're going to use. And then when books are returned, they go into a quarantine box for a period of 72 hours. So we've put all the measures we can in place to protect the young people, but also ensure they've got access to reading materials. Adults will maintain social distance when not in their kingdom or bubble, so when they're using areas like staff rooms, we've got specific tables for year groups, and we're ensuring that a minimal number of staff are in each space at a time, such as our photocopy room and things like that. So thinking carefully about the impact of the adults in the spaces as well. Lunchtimes are split between reception year 1 and year 2 using the dining hall with social distancing measures in place, because normally all children will come together and dine. We've got different lunchtimes now. And in fact, they've changed again since that slide was made because we've tweaked them. And now reception year 1 and year 2 go at 20 past, and year 3 and 4 actually go at 10 to now. And they don't have a 10-minute break before. So we're constantly changing, we're constantly adapting, making sure we've got the best approach. At lunchtimes, we're not operating a family dining experience. We've gone back to the children having essentially table service, the food delivered to them by an adult. That's to ensure that we minimise those contacts, and we make sure that it's been done in a COVID secure way. Staffing at all times is managed within the kingdom and bubble, so even things like break times, lunch times, and of course the kapow provision before school and after school, all of that's being managed by one team of people that are working exclusively with your children to ensure that we can be as secure as possible. Obviously, we've communicated these things a couple of times before, but we've got the staggered drop-off times, and those we've shown how those are working now. And I would remind everyone the importance of using the 2 doors for groups A and group B to ensure that we get that drop-off. Again, we're learning. You know, Wednesday afternoon, year 1 in particular, were a bit late because they were playing cricket, and we've made sure that sports coaches will come in by 3 o'clock now, so the children have got time to get changed and be ready for collection at 4:15. So, you know, we're keen to hear feedback from you where things haven't worked, and we're keen to develop and move forward as a group. A couple of myths, kind of busting things really. As a school, attendance is mandatory. It's no longer optional, and the school does retain the right and the power to fine parents if their children are not attending. Naturally, if that was the case, we wouldn't just go to that measure first and foremost. We'd seek to engage with you and understand your concerns for why your child's not attending school. But I am delighted to say that 100% of children have been in school this week, so that's not been a particular issue. School uniform is back. The guidance encourages you to wash it as often as you usually do, and I appreciate there's probably a big scale on that. You know, that's the nature of it, but that's how the guidance currently sits, and obviously it's great to see the children back in their school uniforms. School trips are possible. Overnight residentials are still not allowed for obvious reasons. However, we will be looking to engage our school trip programme, making use, as we always do, of our local environment first and foremost, purely because of costs associated with coach hire and things like that. If we do go on a trip that involves the coach, then we'll be speaking to you about the arrangements with that, and it may well be that children need to wear a face mask when on a school trip coach, but that hasn't been confirmed yet, and we haven't got any trips planned in the immediate future, so we'll wait and see what the guidance states at that time. Primary assessment and testing is back, so children in the reception class will have their early years foundation stage profile at the end of the academic year. There's no baseline testing for reception, which was due to come into place this term. The government had delayed that for a year. Year 1 children will receive their phonics check in the spring term, and Year 2 children will receive their SATs in the summer term as well. Year 2 children who missed their Year 1 phonics check at the end of last year, when they would have been in Year 1, are likely to have that test again. Well, not again, they're likely to have the test, which they didn't have. They're likely to have that in the second half of this autumn term, so around November. But obviously, we'll send you communications before that happens. And again, like all the testing at the Prince of Wales School, the children won't particularly know that they're having a test. They'll see it as a quiz or something they want to do well on, but obviously it's low stakes and we don't share the results with them, or obviously there's no kind of pressure there for them. It's more as a teacher's tool, a teacher's aid, but the class teachers will share more information about that as we progress. Year 2 at the end of the year, like I said, will have their statutory assessments in reading, writing and maths. And Year 4 children will have their times table check, which is a new test that's been introduced nationally that happens on a computer. Singing, Singing is there's a lot of confusion around singing. Singing is allowed in schools. The guidance that states it's not is deliberate. It is aimed at Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 students, so older children. And we will be singing in school, but we will be making sure that we take certain measures, such as if we're doing prolonged singing, we'll do that outside or in a hall space. We're making sure that spaces are well ventilated and thinking carefully about where children are sat when they are singing. Rows and forward-facing chairs. Again, the guidance is quite clear that in Key Stage 3 and 4, the expectation in the guidance is that children sit in rows and face the front. That's not the case with younger children, so we won't be doing that here, and we feel that that's in the best interest of the children and supporting our approach to learning. Ofsted are re-engaging in inspections. They're doing checks between now and January, and they expect to resume their full schedule in January. We're not expecting any Ofsted inspections imminently, but that's just a note, mainly for staff really, that they are starting to resume. Catch-up fund, the government has made a small catch-up fund available to support children who may have fallen behind during the COVID-19 lockdown, and we have started making use of those funds already by running a full summer programme every Thursday afternoon during the summer holidays, and teachers will be working with their teams and with you as parents to work and identify any gaps in children's learning, and where necessary we stand ready to provide additional support for children, and some of those may take place before or after school, and some of the catch-up funding will be used to do that. Your teacher will have a chat with you if they have any concerns. In terms of any prospect of a second peak or a local lockdown, of course, I know as much as you at this point in time. However, what I would say is that we are making plans so that we are prepared, and we will use all the experience that we've gained from the last term and a half and use that to further improve our practice as we develop and grow and move forward. And what I will say at this point is that I wouldn't assume that everything will be exactly the same as we did it last time, because we'll want to improve, we'll want to grow, and we'll want to get better as an organisation. And this is all in the context of lots of these happening at the moment from national government, and we stand ready to respond to whatever comes along and whatever challenges they may be. So as an institution, we're stronger than ever before with clear plans for COVID-19. We're also stronger than ever before with strengthened teams. And I'm delighted to welcome Ms. Rooken and Ms. Williams to our team here at the Prince of Wales School. They join us as trainee teachers from TADS, which is the Dorset Special Schools Alliance. They follow us a well-trodden path where over the last 3 or 4 years we've had 1 or 2 teachers a year training with us. Of course, one of those being Miss White in previous years, who we now employ in Year 1. So it's great to have them both with us. They've made a fantastic start to their time in Year 1 and Year 4. And I do hope you'll say hello if you see them around school. They'll be spending the whole of the autumn term with us, approximately 3 days a week. They then spend a day a week on their training and a day a week doing remote university work. And then in the summer term, they'll spend some time in another school, and then they'll be, in the spring term, they spend time in another school, and then in the summer term, they'll be back with us for the final term of the year. So do say hello to Miss Rooken or Miss Williams if you see them around. I hope we all make them feel very welcome. We've also got strengthened teams, and we've got a change in arrangements with our deputy head teacher, Miss Johnson, moving to a 3-day-a-week timetable, Mr. McBean moving to a 4-day-a-week timetable, and Mrs. Bishop, our Senko, increasing her time with us and working a Wednesday in Year 2. And it's great that we continue to retain our outstanding and experienced staff, and they've made a fantastic start to the year as well. Mrs. Brooker is extending her role as ALSA. Normally, pre-COVID, Mrs. Brooker did 1 hour a day of ALSA, and she's now joining us for 4 days a week of focused ALSA work, and that's largely reflecting the challenges in which our community have gone through. Mrs. Brooker is working extensively with children and supporting those children most in need at this time. We are stronger than ever before with an enhanced governance structure, and we now have 3 working groups that meet. Working Group A, which focuses on the curriculum, Working Group B, which is focused on the progress and well-being of pupils, and Working Group C, which is focused on the finance, premises and people. And I'm very pleased, if you didn't hear before, that I have my colleague Mr. Tom Easterbrook. Hello, Tom.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me okay? I'd muted. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, Tom. And in a moment, Tom,
Hi, everyone.
after I finish my presentation here, Tom's going to take over, and he's going to talk a little bit more about governors and an exciting opportunity that's come up in the governing board. So in a bit, I'll hand over to him, and he can talk a bit further about that. We are working stronger than ever before with new approaches and new schedules in how we work. I just wanted to share this and really highlight that as a school, we're thinking carefully about the breadth of our curriculum, making sure that as we conduct reviews of what's happening in the school, we're not just focused on literacy, maths and science, but we're thinking about the broad and balanced curriculum. And I'm excited to say that we've got some art experts, some PE experts, and some computing experts that are going to be working with us over the next term to further shape and develop what we do as a school. And that's alongside extensive work that we continue to do in literacy and maths as an institution. We're stronger than ever before with upgraded facilities. We have our new preschool fencing to support the Dorchester Opportunity Group there and the new gate. We have new preschool centre doors, including a new front door. All of this work has happened just before or over the summer holidays. New road markings and a new preschool centre playground area. That we've removed the crazy paving that was there, and it's now much safer and easy to access, particularly for our unit role pupils when they're accessing their riding for the disabled programme and going across to see Jasper. It's now a lot easier to get across. Mr. Baskin's been working really hard through the summer, and the Inspired to Learn boat is coming along. We're still after volunteers to help us finish that project. So if you've got any carpentry skills or maybe upholstery skills, then you'd be very much welcome to give us a hand with that. We're working on developments for our staff room kitchen, and we've introduced new tiered seating into the learning spaces that have been very warmly received by the pupils this week. Our new lockers are now in operation. They were in just after Easter, but obviously children didn't get an opportunity to use them last term, whereas now they have, which is wonderful. And we have probably the most noticeable change is our new reception to Year 4 fencing, and we're very pleased and thankful to Dorset Council, who have supported us with a grant to make that happen, increasing the security of our school site. So we are stronger than ever before, and school is looking a wonderful place to be and an exciting place to be. And I'm just going to finish my input really by just sharing this video with you, which encapsulates, I think, a little bit of the spirit we see as a school.
We're never alone. And that is our strength. Because when we're doubted, we'll play as one. When we're held back, we'll go farther and harder. If we're not taken seriously, we'll prove that wrong. And if we don't fit the sport, we'll change the sport. We know things won't always go our way.
And the world's sporting events are postponed or cancelled.
But whatever it is, we'll find a way. And when things aren't fair, we'll come together for change.
We have a responsibility
to make this world a better place.
And no matter how bad it gets, we will always come back stronger. Because nothing can stop what we can do together.
So at the Prince of Wales School, we are stronger than ever before. We will always come back stronger, and nothing can stop what we can do together. I'm going to hand over now. I'm going to see if I can hand over. I'm going to do my best, Tom, to hand over to Tom here.
So I'm here today, as I alluded to really, to talk to you about an exciting opportunity. We have a vacancy for a parent governor, which we are looking to run an election for and fill this term. So the aim of my input really is to talk to you a bit about what the governing board is, what the role of the governor actually involves, a little bit about the commitment and things like that. and I will take questions at the end if you have any. So, first and foremost, what is the functions of the governing body as a whole? And they're there, but the principle is to ensure clarity of vision, ethos, and strategic direction, holding the executive leaders, so in our case, Mr. Spracklin and his senior leadership team, to account for educational performance, and all things like that. And finally, to oversee the institution's financial performance and critically make sure that the budget we receive is well spent. So if we the governor role is there are lots of key things that governors do. Most important on this list is about holding the school's leadership to account, and making sure that those priorities you're strategically setting through something called the school development plan are being met, and holding the people who are responsible for delivering those outcomes to account. Now, when you see that big list, you think, oh my goodness me, that's a lot of work for one person. But there's two important things really to remember. No individual governor has power. It's a collective and very much team effort. And I see our board as very team focused. They work very well together to deliver outcomes for the school. And it's certainly been a joy over the last 14 months to get to know such a committed group of people and see them work together to achieve positive outcomes for the school. And the second thing to note is you as governors, although you're responsible for the day-to-day running of the school, you're not dealing with it day-to-day. That's Mr. Spracklin's role as head teacher, and the people around him. It's your job as a governing body to set those strategic priorities and to hold those who are delivering them to account. And that goes across educational performance, wider performance of the organisation, and financial performance of the organisation. So, most importantly, I guess, what do current governors think of the role? And I've just got some quotes on the slide there of what several governors feel about the role and what they've been able to bring to bear during their time with us on the board at the Prince of Wales School. So, an important question which you probably want to know is what does the commitment of being a governor at the Prince of Wales School look like? There's one meeting of the full governing body each half term, and it's working groups and committees, which Mr. Sprack pointed to in his presentation, also meet half-termly, and there's 3 of those, and you would expect it to be a member of one of those, either a working group or committee. And visits to school can often happen in your role as a governor. We have what are called link governors, who are responsible for a particular area of school life, whether it's something like DT or literacy or finance. A governor will take that as their area of expertise and kind of link with the senior leadership and other staff in those areas, and will conduct visits and report back to the board and help set things going forward based on those experiences from those visits. And finally, just to talk a little about the sort of qualifications and training you would need to do as a governor. There are no formal, no particular skills that are required. The board are particularly keen to hear from people with either human resources or organisational leadership experience, but any parent is welcome and would be very much welcome to stand in the election that is coming forward. But there's lots of training opportunities, and you would be assigned a mentor governor who's been on the board for some time to support you kind of settling in, finding your feet and finding where you want to get the most out of what is a wide-ranging role. So just finally from me, just to say that there are more details about this opportunity coming out in a letter today. I think it may have already gone out. If not, it's going out at some point today. And in that letter, there's a little more detail in there, and a nomination form which you can complete and return to school by the 18th of September. An election following those nominations will take place, and the result we're looking to announce by early October. So that's a little bit about what's coming up on the governing board and how you can get involved. If there's any questions now, I'm happy to take them, or my email address is at the bottom of the slide.
Thank you very much, Tom, for sharing that. It's really great to get your input, and we appreciate you taking the time this afternoon to share that with us. On our school website, you'll find our governors page and the list of our governors and their current roles and responsibilities, and also their photos, which is often seen as the worst part of being a governor, I think, having your photograph taken. But it just helps everyone know and be familiar with who is already in post, and you may well recognise those people around the school, a collection, a drop-off and pick-up times, and do say hello, and I'm sure any one of them...
They're a very active bunch, aren't they, Mr. Spratt?
They are.
They're quite often around school.
I'm sure any one of them would be happy to talk to you about the role and what it involves, or we can set up a virtual meeting for anyone that would like that. So do let us know, and we'd be happy to help. Thank you, Tom, for your input. I'm going to ask if you could stop screen sharing now, if that's possible.
Yeah, no worries.
Fantastic.
Do I need to hand back to you?
Yeah, that'd be great. And I just really wanted to open up the floor, really, if there's anyone that had any questions. I can see that a number of people are tuned in, and thank you for that, because you never know with these sorts of things how they're going to go. It's the first time we've done anything on Zoom of this nature. Normally we're having a disco, so it's a bit of a change from having a disco on Zoom. But feel free to unmute yourself and ask any question. I can see there's some things in the chat here.
Hi Gary, it's Grant here.
Hi Grant.
Can you hear me? Yeah, can I ask a question, please?
Of course.
I may have missed it. I may have been a few minutes late at the very start of the chat, so apologies for that. You may have covered this. One of the things, I guess, that's probably on everyone's mind a little bit as we all kind of come back into work generally, especially in this term where we and kids generally get things that happen to them. Illnesses come about mainly in the autumn. Is there going to be a sort of a very simple crib sheet guidance document about what parents should do from the school's perspective about, for instance, your child's got a cough, a cold, whatever. Obviously, the general sort of consensus is that kids go to school and the attendance remains high in terms of percentage of attendance. But this season will be different. And are you intending to give any basic guidance on, if your child shows symptoms of COVID, then this is what you do? Because I think what you'll find is if you look at childhood symptoms of COVID, they overlap hugely with everything else that kids get at this time of year. So just a question about what you think about that issue. And
and interesting.
Do you have a plan?
Yeah, so we've had some new guidance out pretty much in the last 24 hours that we've just distributed to staff. That's more around suspected and then confirmed cases of COVID, but it naturally links with thinking about anyone that is unwell. And of course, we have a number of procedures that we have to follow in school, some of which are in line with procedures that we've already had in place, such as if somebody's sick, then 48 hours off and things like that. But then naturally adding COVID into that adds another layer of complexity. And I think it's fair to say The guidance is ever changing. There are various different reports that are often not guidance but are in the media. So, for example, I think only yesterday there was a lot about tummy bugs are a sign of children having COVID, and I was like, that's really helpful. Thanks for sharing that. The news outlet, wherever it may be. So, I think we need to be mindful of what the Public Health England advice is, and yet we're very happy to put a crib sheet out, and we'll make sure that comes out at the beginning of next week. We were planning to put something out, but I think some really clear guides that people can follow. It's always, even with things like the 48-hour sickness thing, we all know there's occasions when, I recall there was a child last year who went swimming after school down Ringstead Bay and swallowed too much seawater and obviously was then a little bit sick, and the parent told me, and I was like, well, obviously they're not unwell, and it's like, we have to apply some common sense to these things.
I just think in this particular case, people are coming out of 6 months of not having anything wrong with them. We've literally been isolated from one another for 6 months. So, I mean, my family example hasn't even had a cold for 6 months because we're not mixing with each other. So there will be, I think, a behavioural response to the first time your child gets a bit of a temperature or a cough or whatever it might be, and the tendency will be to think, well, actually, do we then book a test? Do we keep our kid off school? Do we, I think just that basic, really sort of nuanced guidance would be kind of useful. Because everyone's coming out of this with a slightly different perspective of, say, this time last year, where we were sort of would have just probably sent our kids to school and get on with it, that kind of approach.
And Grant, we'll make sure we issue that. We'll definitely do that for sure.
Thanks very much.
No, thank you.
That's a good question.
Of course.
Please. Sorry, I may have missed this as well at the beginning, but did you say, could I just ask if things like school trips are likely to be on this year and things like the Year 4 special things, just so I can kind of manage expectations a bit of whether that's likely to be on this year?
Yeah, so we'll work within the guidance that's currently available, and at the moment the guidance states that we can do school trips. So we are planning to go ahead with all of our usual school trips. As ever, we try to make use of our immediate environment for school trips first, and then we reach out to the local area, and then we go further afield. At the moment, residentials are not permitted under the current Department for Education guidance. However, we are in contact with Hook Court about securing our booking for the end of the summer term, and obviously, like all schools that are going to Hook Court, everyone's trying to secure as late in the year as possible to allow us potentially more of the time to get there. So our hope would be that by that time the guidance will allow us to do it. And obviously, if the guidance states that we can have residentials, we will do things like the sleepover in the Roundhouse and the visit to Hook Court, sleepover to Hook Court. Meanwhile, we'll continue to do all other courses in every way we can. So we'll work through on that basis. So.
Okay, great, thank you. And just a quick follow-on from that. Again, you may have said this, so apologies. But I can't see any information on the middle schools this year about the children going up. Do you just happen to know what kind of year? Do you think we're likely to be able to do like a virtual look around, say, DMS and St Osmond's and things? Do you get given that information? So
we normally receive that information when you do, but I can certainly raise that question. I've got a DASPED teachers meeting in a week's time, so I'll raise that question. I'll make sure I raise that question there.
Thank you.
Last year, I know that there was a difference in approach between the different middle schools, but some of them did manage to get some transition visits in before they broke up to the summer, so I'm sure they would be open to open mornings as well. We as a school are planning a COVID secure open morning on off the top of my head, the 15th of October. It's the Wednesday, it might be the 14th, for our new reception intake for next year, because obviously then the application processes will start for that. So I think schools are trying to find ways in which they can welcome parents in a secure way, because you can't be actually looking around the building and getting a feel of the place, and it might just be that you do so by staying in the corridors and looking into a classroom rather than going into a classroom. So there's multiple ways it can be done securely. So one would hope that they would open up in some way.
Okay, great, thank you.
No problem. Was there anyone else with a question?
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes, hi. If we go into supermarket or anywhere, you have to cover your face wearing a face mask. Why not in the school? Can you please encourage people to do that, to wear face mask inside the school?
Yeah, so at the moment, the current Department for Education guidance is only that secondary schools in areas where there is a local lockdown are required to wear face masks inside communal areas of the school. Then even in those areas, they don't wear them in the classroom. In terms of primary, there's no requirement at the moment to wear them inside a primary school, and I appreciate the point that you're making there. But we've made a decision as a school and as a governing body to follow the Department for Education's guidance. So if their advice and guidance change, then we will update our policies accordingly.
I didn't mean the staff or the children. I mean the parent.
Oh, the parents. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
people when they come to pick the children.
Yeah. We are encouraging parents to maintain a social distance when collecting and dropping off the children. And obviously, we have the staggered start times and staggered finish times to support that process. Ultimately, it's not something that we can enforce. We can obviously we can make the note today that it's been requested by a parent, but it's not something we can enforce, I'm afraid.
Okay, and the other thing that there is a small gate next to the other side. It can be open, so it will be one-way direction instead of the people going in the same door, in and out.
Yeah, that's something we can certainly look at. It's something we have considered, but we hadn't made that change to date because we were keen to enforce the one-way system, and we're worried that we couldn't provide staffing at both gates to ensure that we maintain that one-way system. But as people get more into the habit of coming in at that top gate, then we can certainly look at that first gate being maybe an exit point, and I can certainly see the benefits of that. So it's something I'm happy to go and review following this meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem at all. It's great to hear from you. Is there anyone else with any questions? Okay, in which case then I just want to say thank you so much for everyone coming along to this session. As I said, it's the first time we've run a parent forum in this way. I'm sure I've already learned some lessons from things how to run this, and we'll reflect upon that. I'll provide a kind of edited highlights of this later on this evening for parents to watch back. And I will also make sure that some minutes are provided. We have already got a date for the next meeting, which is on the school website, which we are intending to run via Zoom again. Obviously, as has always been the case, please don't necessarily wait till then to ask any questions. I'm always on the gate, try to be on the gate every morning and every evening, so if anyone has any questions or concerns, then do come and chat to me then. And of course, you can talk to any member of the team as well. So thank you again for coming along, and thank you, Tom, for your input, very much appreciated. Look out for those letters and hopefully have a think about who might want to be our next parent governor. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.